Welcome to this video. Today we talk about Kenneth Parks. Make sure you are subscribe and like. Let's get started. The sleepwalking murder case. Kenneth Parks is a name often associated with one of the most remarkable and unusual cases in Canadian legal history. The case is known as the sleepwalking murder, where a man was accused of murder and attempted murder but claimed to have acted while asleep. It is a case that raised many questions about an individual's responsibility for their actions when those actions are carried out unconsciously. The case not only has legal implications but also increased public awareness of the complexity of sleepwalking as a medical condition. Background. On May 23, 1987, in the early hours of the morning, a horrific event took place in Toronto, Canada. Kenneth Parks, a 23-year-old man, drove to the home of his in-laws, Dennis and Barbara Welsh. While they were in their bed, Parks attacked them. The result was tragic. His mother-in-law, Barbara Welsh, was stabbed to death, and his father-in-law, Dennis Welsh, was severely injured. The events were completely unexpected and shocking for everyone who knew Parks. Kenneth was a man who was not known for violent behavior, and it seemed unthinkable that he, someone who had a good relationship with the Welsh family, would attack them in such a brutal manner. However, the most significant aspect of the case was not only what happened but how it happened. The sleepwalking claim. What made the case so extraordinary was that Kenneth Parks claimed he had acted while sleepwalking. He stated that he had been in an unconscious state, a condition known as somnambulism, and that he was unaware of his actions. According to his statement, he had gotten up during the night, driven to his in-laws' house, and attacked them without any awareness of what he was doing. The idea of sleepwalking is already fascinating, as the behavior of people in such a state can often seem random, ranging from performing everyday tasks to carrying out complex activities. Some people may even become aggressive while sleepwalking, but the idea that someone could commit murder while asleep was extraordinary. This confused both the medical community and legal experts, as it is difficult to prove whether someone is truly in a sleepwalking state or if there are other motives behind their actions. The trial. Kenneth Parks was charged with murder and attempted murder of his in-laws. The trial received significant media attention due to the unique nature of the defense, which argued that Parks had no control over his actions and therefore could not be held responsible. The defense claimed that Parks had been in a sleepwalking state and, as such, was not fully responsible for what he had done. The case raised a legal dilemma about the extent to which someone can be held accountable for actions carried out unconsciously. The trial brought numerous medical and psychological experts into the courtroom, who testified that sleepwalking could lead to violent behavior, especially when the person is in a deep sleep. However, there were some complications in the case, as there was no absolute proof that Parks was indeed in a sleepwalking state. The testimonies of medical experts about sleepwalking were not always clear-cut, as sleepwalking typically does not involve such violent outbursts of behavior. The outcome of the trial. After extensive examination and expert testimonies, Kenneth Parks was ultimately acquitted of both murder and attempted murder. The court ruled that he had no control over his actions and that his actions took place in an unconscious sleepwalking state. This was considered a rare case of sleepwalking in which someone went so far as to commit violent acts. The verdict was controversial, as it raised the question of whether someone can truly be held responsible for actions carried out unconsciously. There was much debate about the ethics of the trial and whether the justice system had set the right precedent for such cases. Aftermath and impact. Kenneth Parks' case raised numerous societal and legal questions. On one hand, it increased public interest in sleepwalking, as it demonstrated that this condition, often seen as harmless, could sometimes lead to serious and violent outcomes. On the other hand, it also highlighted how difficult it is to determine a person's awareness and intent in such cases. The trial led to further research into the legal implications of sleepwalking and how it should be treated in law. There was a push for more medical evaluations in cases where sleepwalking could play a role, especially in cases of violent behavior. Additionally, the case led to greater awareness of sleep disorders and how they can affect the way people behave. Many people, including lawyers and psychologists, Acknowledge that sleepwalking is not just about performing simple actions but can have serious consequences for those involved. The complexity of the case. The case of Kenneth Parks is one of the few instances in legal history where sleepwalking was central to the defense. It raises the question of whether people can be held responsible for actions they carry out unconsciously, even if those actions are harmful to others. The idea of unconscious acts is fascinating but also brings to light the complexity of human psychology and legislation. While Kenneth Parks' case ultimately resulted in an acquittal, it remains a topic of legal and psychological discussion. It has not only influenced the way sleepwalking is viewed but also how legal systems deal with people who may not be fully responsible for their actions due to circumstances beyond their control. If you're fascinated by true crime stories and the advancements in forensic science, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth coverage of real-life mysteries. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.